In the ever-evolving landscape of education, the need for clear, actionable, and measurable learning objectives has never been more pressing. As educators strive to facilitate meaningful learning experiences, they often turn to established frameworks that provide structure and clarity. Among these, Bloom's taxonomy stands out as a foundational tool that bridges the gap between abstract educational goals and practical classroom outcomes. Understanding how to move from the broad concepts encapsulated in Bloom's taxonomy to the creation of precise learning objectives is essential for effective teaching and learning. Bloom's taxonomy, first introduced by Benjamin Bloom and his colleagues in 1956, was designed to classify educational goals into a hierarchy of cognitive complexity. It organizes thinking skills into 6 ascending levels: knowledge, comprehension, application, analysis, and evaluation. In its revised version, these categories were updated to remembering, understanding, applying, analyzing, evaluating, and creating. Each level represents a different kind of cognitive process, ranging from the recall of facts to the creation of new ideas. This hierarchical model serves as a scaffold, enabling educators to design curricula and assessments that address a spectrum of intellectual abilities. The taxonomy's enduring value lies in its ability to break down the nebulous concept of learning into specific, observable behaviors. When teachers say they want students to understand a topic, what does that really mean? Bloom's framework encourages educators to define learning in terms of what students should be able to do: identify, explain, apply, compare, or construct after instruction. This clarity is vital not only for instructors, but also for students, who benefit from knowing exactly what is expected of them. To translate Bloom's taxonomy into practical learning objectives, educators must first appreciate the distinction between educational aims, goals, and objectives. Aims are broad statements reflecting the overarching purpose of education, such as fostering critical thinking or lifelong learning. Goals narrow this focus, specifying desired outcomes within a subject or course. Objectives, on the other hand, are precise statements detailing what learners will know or be able to do at the end of a lesson or unit. They are the actionable steps that lead from intention to achievement. The process of crafting effective learning objectives begins with identifying the appropriate level of Bloom's taxonomy for the content and context. For instance, if the aim is to introduce students to a new historical period, objectives at the remembering and understanding levels might be most relevant. Students will be able to list key events and describe their significance. As students progress, higher-order objectives, such as analyzing causes and effects or evaluating historical sources, can be incorporated. This scaffolding ensures that learning builds in complexity, supporting deeper engagement and mastery. A practical approach to writing learning objectives involves the use of specific, action-oriented verbs associated with each level of Bloom's taxonomy. These verbs serve as indicators of observable student behavior. For example, define, list, and recall signal objectives at the remembering level, while analyze, compare, and differentiate correspond to analyzing. By selecting precise verbs, educators make expectations explicit and measurable. Instead of stating, students will understand photosynthesis, a more effective objective would be, students will be able to explain the process of photosynthesis and illustrate its stages. Another key aspect of practical objective writing is ensuring that objectives are SMART: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and this approach aligns seamlessly with Bloom's taxonomy, as each level lends itself to measurable outcomes. For instance, an objective at the creating level might state, by the end of the unit, students will design an experiment to test the effects of light intensity on plant growth. This statement specifies what students will do, how success will be measured, and the time frame for achievement. Aligning learning objectives with assessments and instructional activities is also crucial. Objectives derived from Bloom's taxonomy guide the selection of teaching methods and assessment tools. If an objective requires students to evaluate competing theories, the assessment should ask them to critique arguments rather than simply recall facts. Conversely, if the objective is to identify components of a system, a quiz or labeling exercise may suffice. This alignment ensures coherence across planning, teaching, and evaluation, leading to more effective and meaningful learning experiences. Moreover, well-crafted learning objectives support differentiation and inclusivity in the classroom. By articulating objectives at varying levels of complexity, educators can tailor instruction to meet the diverse needs of learners. Some students may require additional support to achieve foundational objectives, while others are ready to tackle more challenging tasks. Bloom's taxonomy provides a roadmap for scaffolding instruction, allowing all students to progress at an appropriate pace. The practical application of Bloom's taxonomy extends beyond individual lessons to curriculum design and program development. Departments and institutions can use the taxonomy to map learning outcomes across courses and years of study, ensuring a coherent progression from basic knowledge to advanced skills. This systematic approach facilitates curriculum alignment, program evaluation, and accreditation processes, all of which hinge on the articulation of clear and measurable learning outcomes. In today's educational environment, where accountability and evidence-based practice are paramount, the ability to articulate and assess learning objectives is indispensable. Bloom's taxonomy offers more than a theoretical model. It is a practical tool that empowers educators to translate big-picture aspirations into concrete, actionable steps. By grounding objectives in observable behaviors and aligning them with teaching and assessment strategies, educators enhance the quality and impact of their instruction. Ultimately, the journey from Bloom's taxonomy to learning objectives is about making learning visible. It is about demystifying the process of education, clarifying expectations, and empowering both teachers and students to achieve meaningful outcomes. As educators continue to navigate the complexities of modern teaching, the principles of Bloom's taxonomy remain as relevant as ever, providing a timeless guide for translating educational ideals into everyday practice.